Welcome back to Tales Arcane and to the final episode of Heroes of the Highlands, The Fate of the Fallen. If you followed us all the way through to here, thank you so much for sticking with the adventure. And I am as worried as you are going into this episode, and as worried as our players are too, I believe. Thank you, as always, to Nerdius Maximus for the dramatic music with which we will be scoring tonight's session. And thank you to Jessica Bowen, who did the wonderful artwork that I use for all the promotional materials and everything for this show. Without further ado, let's jump into a quick recap from last week's session, and then let's begin. Suddenly, as if responding to a signal that only they can hear, they begin to move. First, slowly along the roads towards the three entrances, then faster and faster. And at this moment, can you all roll initiative?
Use a 4th level slot to do Wall of Fire.
You see, essentially, the whole front 3 lines of the zombie horde are just incinerated.
Don't let me have all the fun. Come and bloody your hands, my friends.
Boglach, you hear the beating of wings. You look up and you see, in the darkness above, lit from below by the burning flames of the infernos throughout the village, the pale, elongated form, humanoid, and yet profoundly inhuman, as Thazrael the angel begins to descend from the darkened sky above. Boglach, you look up into the clouded sky above, the flames still flickering on the bridge, and lit from below, descending through the smoke and the ash and the swarms of sparks, Thazrael, the angel of justice, descends towards you. You look up and you see these 2 white eyes glowing like pale, icy stars from under the tangle of silver hair as the angel looks down upon you. And again you hear that voice whispering in your ears, carried through the noise and chaos of the undead swarm below, as if speaking directly to you. I thought I told you to run. And the wings beat slowly as the angel descends, the voice again filling your ears. I don't understand you people. You Highlanders were a mighty folk, and by your own actions you have fallen into darkness, and your fate is sealed. And with that, Boglach, what would you like to do?
Oh, I can't communicate with the villagers. Oh no.
Surely you can
I'm
gesture
going
with your
to-
big paws.
Like, go that
Yeah.
way.
I'm going to, in bear form, as well as I can, try and communicate to Tam Tamsin and the villagers that they should turn around and run and get Glut or Zell, which I imagine is a combination of looking at them, pawing away, and then for Glut kind of like going like popping the arms, and for Zell then kind of like pawing at my paws like an arrow. And I'll try and do that in one foul motion. And if not, I guess I'll just need to see what Tam Tamsin does.
I'd say
Tam Tamsin's running the ship for the second.
at this point the motion to say go back into the town is quite clear. To kind of specify that you want them to go to your companions, I think you need to make a performance check, and it will be quite a high DC.
I think actually just getting them to move back into the town is okay. I think that's okay.
You
Because-
sweep your paws at them, and Tam Tamsin looks up and goes, "Gladly," and begins to sprint back up the street away from the throng. The crowd of villagers begins to disengage. Of course, the zombies remaining around them are going to make an attack of opportunity at the villagers as they begin to flee.
Oh, I forgot about that, but yeah. But like,
They absolutely hit. That is on a 29. Very close to a crit. As they
Tam
begin
Tamsin
to
almost-
withdraw,
Tam Tamsin.
You see Tam Tamson is kind of falls to the back. He's quite a short fellow, and he starts. You know, the general who is the last man to leave the battlefield, he's grabbing people, pushing them back, slapping them in the shoulders. You see several undead hands reaching towards him. The swarm deals 10 damage to the villagers as claws begin raking out into them, rusted axes hacking down. You see an axe bite into Tam's shoulder. He lets out a grunt, staggers to the side, wrenches the axe free and staggers back, blood spraying down the side of his arm. You see beside him a familiar figure, one of the drinkers from the tavern who was so roused by the speech that Glut gave just a matter of hours earlier, go down, an undead knight pressing him down into the mud, snapping his neck as he goes down onto the ground as one of the villagers dies. However, the rest, heeding your words, or rather your actions as a bear, fall back up the street, fleeing away, leaving you standing alone in bear form against a swarm of undead and an angel.
If the undead took that opportunity attack against the villagers falling back, would that mean they would also get the chance to attack me, or is it? I'm just trying to work out.
On this occasion, because it was an attack of opportunity triggered just against the fleeing party, just the villagers took that damage.
So if I were to flee as well, would they be able to attack me?
No, they've used their reaction, so the angel would be able to attack you potentially, but that would be it.
Oh.
You don't necessarily know as well what the angel's range is, because he's still up in the air floating down towards you.
I feel like Boglak's idea at the moment is that he needs to lead these people at least closer to the town. I think. Because even with his villagers and himself, I don't think he can take on the angel and the thing alone. And he needs the sword anyway. So I think Boglak's... I'm going to let the villagers kind of go ahead, and then I'm going to kind of run after them, if that makes sense. And I'm trying to just draw the battle closer to the village as I can.
Turn and begin to, having first made sure that they get back, as the true general does, you are really, unlike Tam Tamson, you really are the last person to leave the field. You begin to pound back up the street. You can see that the undead focusing in on the retreating villagers do not make an attack of opportunity against you as you withdraw. The angel does not appear to be within range, and you begin to pelt back up the street. No attack against you, though as you withdraw, you can glance up and you see in the angel's hand a flicker of radiant light begins to form in their palm, as if an object is beginning to take shape within their fist, but you press on up the road. Is that how you want to spend your full turn?
Yes.
Absolutely. I would say at this point, you haven't used an action yet, so if you did want to use an action as you run away, you absolutely can.
I guess I could attack the... Sorry to backtrack. I feel like
No.
I should have attacked, then moved. That makes
Or you
sense.
can even kind of put some space between you and the angel, get back up the street, and if you want to, or if you want to, like you said, do a melee attack against the zombies, you can.
Maybe that's, again, this is kind of like going back. I imagine I'm telling the villagers to fall back. As they go back, they start attacking in, and then I'm kind of like trying to help the villagers get a bit away with the intention of following them, but I kind of like maul out, bite, claw, to kind of distract the zombies or whatever they are enough that the villagers can get away a wee bit.
Absolutely. In that case, roll to hit against the undead swarm. You press in amongst them, holding them back, claws swinging.
So I'm using a brown bear stat block, so you get 2 attacks, one with bite, one with claws, so can I do both of them?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, so the first one I'll do bite. That's a 10, so that will miss.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do the claw, which is 15.
Hits.
Okay, so it's going to be slashing damage, 2d6, plus 4, so 16 slashing damage with my claws.
They have exactly 16 HP.
Yeah.
As the villagers retreat up the street, You plunge into the throng of undead, claws lashing right and left, just destroying the remaining horde. You see armor rending under your claws, dried old bone matter crumbling away as one by one the lights in the eyes go out. The angel has arrived just in time to watch a third of his force decimated by Boglach in bear form.
How did I? I think Boglach is happy. But
Let's
he's also
not
like,
celebrate too early, as Boglach said last week. Let's not make this ironic.
I feel like Boglach is just regretting that he made the villagers retreat before he attacked. He's like, no, I should have attacked first. That blood's on my hands. The only hope is that the person who fell was the guy who stole the constable's recipe or whatever it was. That he's the baddest guy in town. So hopefully.
Oh, I forgot
hopefully
about him.
I mean, I don't think the punishment fits the crime, but Boglach is holding on to any shred of hope right now. Amazing. Yeah, I think that's my plan, is just send the villagers forward, almost like maybe they'll alert a little bit ahead, and then Boglach's gonna give that bit of distance between them and the angel. So that's the kind of running order, if that makes sense.
Incredible.
Yeah. Just head towards the village.
You, having dealt that final blow, wiping out the southern force of Radiant Undead, you begin to head back up the street along with the villagers, leaving the angel behind you. At this point, we leap over to the top of the round with Zell.
So, I'm just gonna kind of do what I have been doing. All I really can do is fire arrows down into the horde below. Using Hordebreaker, so firing 3 arrows. The first one is a 19 to hit.
Absolutely hits.
And that is 5 piercing damage. Second one is, come on. Oh, a 24 to hit.
Hits.
Which adds another 6 piercing damage. It's not much, but every little helps at this point. And the last one is only a 12 to hit.
12 is the AC, and it hits.
Oh, nice. So that adds another 9 piercing damage.
Brutal. You fire these arrows down in. You can see the villagers are holding a line. They're not in a position really to attack or anything. They don't really have the implements to attack, but they have just enough strength and coordination to hold the line here, forcing the zombies to stay where they are in the narrow firelit street, allowing you to continue whittling them down. There's now about a quarter of the original zombie force left at this point, and you are tearing through them. You can hear Paddy's wild, high-pitched war cries rising up from the throng as the tavern keeper, with his side whiskers now soaked with blood, lashes in and about the undead horde before him. Anything else you want to do in your turn?
No, at the moment I'm fine, but just please stay alive, Paddy.
In that case, we go over to the eastern side of the town with Glut, lit by the flaming inferno of the burning wagons and wooden debris around you. You have entrapped the zombie horde, and you're now fighting against the remnants of them with your villagers.
Well, yeah, I'm still just in my blood frenzy. Seeing that my quarry's almost vanquished, that just really gets my blood going. So I'm gonna go for 2 reckless. I'm gonna just go for my reckless attacks. So the first one is a 18.
18 hits.
The second one is a 25. And because of that, I can bonus action pommel strike, and that last one is a 21.
Beautiful.
I rolled advantage for them because of reckless attack, and 2 of the rolls there were 1. That was very scary on the 2 different attacks. I know. So that is 2d8 plus a d6. So that's 2, 9, 10. That is 31 damage.
With 31 damage, spinning in the center of this mass of undead, your blade hacking and slashing right and left, you wipe out the last of the eastern force of undead, the villagers around you roaring and whooping as you dance in an ecstasy of death and destruction amid the radiant zombies.
You got clean. Oh my god, what's wrong with me? Clean sweep.
So far so good. And with that, I'll I'll order my two. So there was the dwarf that set the barrels on fire in the start of this fight. Is there another small creature, like another creature around my height?
You can see there's another dwarf there. It's actually the general store owner.
I'll like kind of prompt my hands to bring them both over to me and be like, all right, so we done good so far. However, my my legs feel like I've got 2 brick weights tied to them. I'm going to put a hand around each of them and be like, can you guys help carry me somewhere? And start like hobbling up the street, like into the village.
Gratefully press around you, lifting you up onto their small shoulders. The general store owner goes, "Where do you want to go?"
Center of town. Let's see how the other two are holding up.
"Let's be off." And the two of them, bearing you up on their shoulders, begin jogging into the centre of the town. The rest of the villagers, very happy that they didn't actually have to do that much fighting, are cheering and whooping among the remnants of the undead and like shaking their pots and pans at the dark night beyond the village, going, "Any more of you out there? Come on then!" Relatively confident that there are no more out there. As you head back towards the town, is there anything else you want to do in your turn?
No, I'll just shout for the villagers to follow my makeshift palanquin.
As that plays out, we jump back over to the southern side of the village. Boglach, you are hurrying back along the street. You can tell that the angel is going to take their turn directly after you as you begin to retreat along the street towards the centre.
Yeah, I think, again, I'm going to try and communicate. Maybe I'll kind of, because I've got 40 foot of movement speed, but I don't imagine the villagers do. So what I'll kind of do is I'll kind of use that extra 10 feet of movement to kind of catch up and start nudging some of the villagers forward to kind of try and inspire them to maybe dash alongside me so that we can kind of get back to town a bit quicker.
Absolutely. You run forward and begin kind of pushing and urging the villagers on from behind. To be honest, quite an effective approach, just being a giant bear running out of the smoking kind of flames of the town behind these people. They know you're on their side, but you snapping at their heels is doing a great job of keeping them moving. Anything else you want to do in your turn?
Nope, just as much movement as possible towards the centre of town.
Head back towards the centre of town. You're still a little bit off, but through the narrow streets ahead you can see, glimmering by the firelight now radiating from multiple places in the town, the half-crumbled statue of Rannoch Kilferson rising up from the main intersection of the town. As you run down the street you hear the wings beating behind you and the voice of the angel in your ears again as they come to land directly behind you on the road. There is white light glowing around you as their voice in your ears whispers, "I am the will and the word of a god made flesh. I am justice manifest, and you think you can stand against me? You are a brief arrangement of water, blood, and bone. Nothing more." And this blaze of light ripples around, lighting the place as bright as day, as a huge hammer made of radiant light, clenched in their fist, arcs down towards you. That is going to be an 18 to hit.
That hits.
That is going to be 21 points of damage, 3 of which is bludgeoning, and the rest is radiant. There is a minor graze from the hammer itself, and then this burning, excoriating, white-hot heat flows through your body as radiant energy burns through your veins. The angel looming directly behind you now, keeping pace comfortably about a foot above the ground with wings beating, the wind of those wings gusting around you as this angelic form presses against you. Ending its turn, we go back to the top of the round with Zell.
I get kind of missing all this because so focused on the zombies that are in the tight space in front of me, and Zell's just, she can, I feel like they'll probably be able to hear the kind of cheers and stuff like from far away, but so focused on her own task, still not killed her zombies. So she's just gonna fire 3 more arrows right into the thick of it all. The first one is 19 to hit again, which does 8 piercing damage. The second one is a 9, so that one misses. And the third, oh my god, is an 11! Fuck.
Just missing.
Not doing very well over here.
You fire another arrow in, the undead press into your people below. I'm going to roll for the undead swarm. That is a natural 1. Even with their attack bonus, they are going to just miss. They press in around the villagers, and the villagers, seeing your arrows falling down among them, they can't really tell if your arrows are hitting or not. They just know that you're on their side, fighting alongside them, and they press in, knocking back the rusted blades of the radiant zombies, holding off for another round. As we head over to the eastern side, as Gloot, borne on the shoulders of these 2 stout dwarves, carry you closer to the centre, you can see now ahead of you, through the smoke and sparks that fill the town, the statue of Rannoch at the centre. Anything you want to do?
Yeah, so, obviously, Malcolm, you and you alone know my background, but given the fact that, Boglak is a bear, I feel like Gloot gets like a faint whiff. Can I make a perception check to see if I can smell the bear? Since I'm very familiar with bears.
Yes, but at disadvantage. The air is full of smoke, so it would be quite hard.
That's fair. That's totally fair. That's totally fair. Okay, no, that is only a 7 then. So if I'm heading towards the statue of Rannoch, the road won't split off towards either side at this point, will it? I'll just keep kind of heading towards the centre of the statue.
No, right now, yeah, once you hit the statue, that's when you'll be able to look along the streets and potentially see your companions and their situations.
In which case, see, because I'm getting carried by 2 dwarfs, do they have a higher movement speed than me, considering my move speed's half because I'm exhausted?
Yeah, and right now all they're doing is just running with you, so they're moving pretty speedily along these streets.
Onwards, brave villagers, to glory! And I want to command my villagers to take the dash action towards the statue of Rannoch.
They continue dashing forward. You can hear close behind you a sort of high-pitched... you're not quite sure what the sound is at first, and you realise it's wild weeping. And looking over your shoulder, you can see the constable running behind you, tears pouring down his face, looking up at you, framed by the light borne on the shoulders of your dwarven kin. And he's just crying and looking up at you in this look of absolute rapture as you continue on towards the centre, your villagers pressing in behind you.
As we're doing that, I'll scream at the top of my lungs, "To a clean sweep!"
The villagers like, "Don't know what that means, but let's go!" Surely they wouldn't be playing fast and loose their lives in these terms, they think, as they hurry back towards the town centre. As we go over to Boglak, the angel pressing behind you, the villagers ahead. You are between the angel and the villagers, and the angel for now seems to be focused on you rather than the villagers. What do you want to do?
How is the angel speaking to me? Is it telepathic, or are they speaking out loud?
You get the impression that while they are actually using their mouth at the moment, that you're hearing it primarily telepathically. It's like they're speaking and then amplifying it magically into your brain.
Is there a two-way communication, or is it strictly...
You don't know?
Just them being able to... In case I'm able to, I think Boglak will just think, like... You know, I'd be pretty angry too if my god didn't come to save me, being locked away for so long and just left me to rot. But yeah, we'll see how this all goes down. And just like, is it kind of, is it in my space, if that makes sense? Am I able to keep moving, or is it kind of opportunity attack?
Right now it's in your space, so if you continue moving, there will be an opportunity attack.
I think try and continue moving.
Well, remember, if you're not making any attacks, you could, as an action, take a disengage.
For some reason, maybe like the group's rubbing off on Boglak, but like Boglak thinks that's like way too safe an option, but it probably is a good option to remember. Yes, I will disengage and keep pushing the villagers forward.
Ducking out of the way of any potential attacks, you focus your energies on avoiding the radiant warhammer behind you, get out of the range of the angel, and continue storming on up the street, pressing the villagers ahead. You can tell that before you, moving quickly towards you now, is the centre of the town, and you can hear roaring, kind of celebratory cheering getting louder coming down from one of the eastern streets nearby. As you continue towards the centre, we jump to the top of the round with Zell.
Let's hope this is more successful than my last round. Again, still very focused on the zombies in front of her since there are still at least kind of a quarter of them there. She's just gonna throw another 3 arrows in. So, okay, we're starting off better. 26 to hit.
That hits.
Which deals 8 damage, 8 piercing damage. The second one is 17 to hit.
Also
which
hits.
Deals 4 piercing damage, and the final one is a 10 to hit, so it misses.
Still pretty good. You can see the ranks are getting very thin now below you. There are maybe like a dozen zombies left in the street now below you, and they are being pressed hard by the villagers. You can see they're actually in some cases starting to kind of lose ground as the villagers press them, cramming them further back up the street. Still well within your range, but they are not moving down here at all. Anything else you want to do?
No, fine at the moment.
The remaining undead are going to attack the villagers, and that will be a 19 to hit, which hits, and that will be 8 points of slashing damage. Exactly the number, I'm afraid, that they need to kill another villager. You watch as a very broad-shouldered farmer wielding a huge hay fork lunges forward, slightly overextends himself, staggers slightly off balance, and as his neck kind of leans forward, a rusted axe just slices down the neck clean off the head, bouncing on the ground as blood sprays out around him. The rest of the villagers roar in anger and a hunger for vengeance, closing the gap that he left, pressing in against. But there are not that many villagers left. Well, I mean, there's still some, but remember, there's only there's 7 guys down here, 1v1ing the remaining dozen undead. At that point, we are going to go over to Glut. As you continue on, you are pretty close to the village centre. I would say that after this turn, there's one more turn, and during that, the following turn, you're there. So you're basically, this is the last turn before you get to the centre of the village.
In which case, I'll just keep dashing and try and just keep motivating my villagers. Be like, I don't know about you killers, but my sword's still thirsty. And just try and get them to rage, basically. Get their spirits up. And yeah, I'll just keep moving through the town.
You press forward, now rushing towards the edge of the square, the villagers pressing in around you, the constable whispering in a high-pitched voice, I am a holy warrior! I am a holy warrior! As you rush out towards the centre, we go over to Boglach.
Yeah, just keep trying to lead this angel towards the centre of town.
In that case, as you press... Oh, sorry, continue.
No, I think just... has it kind of kept on me?
The angel is basically, with his flying speed, it can come right up behind you when it wants to, which it's going to do now.
I think just disengage, just keep moving forward. It's just ducking and diving and just trying to hurry towards the centre of town.
Absolutely. The angel flies forward, closing in behind you, and is going to make another attack. And that is going to be a 17 to hit.
That will hit.
That'll be 20 points of damage. Once again, a small amount of bludgeoning, and 17 points of radiant blasting through you. Again, it's like a cold fire that burns through your body as that hammer rains down behind you. The angel is going to use a second attack.
I was just gonna say, what was the damage from their first attack? Like last round, I should have noted it down. I thought I did. Was it 20?
I
21.
think it was 21, yeah.
21.
21. In that case, the bear form has 34 damage. So if 21 takes off, then I had 13 left, and it's damage over the form going to the.
Gets carried
like-
over, yeah.
Amazing. In that case, I drop the bear form, and I'll take 7 additional.
And that's going to be a 15 to hit for its second attack.
That will hit.
For context, with the previous round, it spent some of its action summoning the weapon, so it only got 1 attack, but now that the weapon is fully summoned, it can do 2. So that is going to be 19 points of damage.
Yeah, Boglak takes a huge hit. Boglak's looking bloodied. I think.
You return to your Furbolg form as a second blow blasts over you. You're almost lose vision for a moment as the world lights up white around you, as if you've been struck by lightning yourself, and then that light fades and you're still in the street, you're still going, and your villagers are still pressing ahead of you. On your next turn, you're going to get back into the square, and you can now hear a roaring coming from the east. Looking round, you can see a small figure being borne out on the shoulders of 2 other small figures re-entering the village square as Glutz and her squadron get back ready to reunite with you and yours in the centre.
I was going to say, can I see Glut at this point?
I'd say kind of as your turn ends, you can look over and you can see Glut emerging.
It's just the only thing I want to do if I spot them is turn around to the angel and go, "Well, you're fucked now."
You turn
As I
around.
see Glut getting carried in by cheering crowds, I'm like, even I'm scared. And I feel like there is true fear in Boglak's tone as they kind of for a moment think Glut has like rebelled this town and is gonna like kill everybody.
You can
I don't
see.
even know if it needs intimidation or persuasion because Boglak is intimidated.
Glut and Glut's holy warriors have arrived in the square, and you fear for everyone. At that moment, we jump over to Zell.
Hi. Sorry about that. Yes, okay, so I'm gonna attack the zombies again, and hopefully not lose any more villagers.
And as I said before, they're looking pretty beaten up now. You're down to the very last stand.
You got this, Zell.
First one is a 24 to hit.
Totally
which
hits.
Is 10 piercing damage. Second one is 19 to hit, which
That hits.
is 10 piercing damage again.
And that will do it.
Yes! Yes!
Thank God.
Loose your arrows down into the mix. The villagers are hacking away, cutting down a few of the bedraggled zombies. You fire down those 2 arrows, aiming them at such an angle that they strike through multiple, going through one rotted head after another, puncturing into the sides of the skulls as the last stand of the Radiant Zombies goes down. The zombie horde has been wiped out.
Zell's not going to say that out loud.
What do you want to do, Zell? Because at this point, you've taken some attacks. You've not taken any movement yet. Your villagers below you are roaring and cheering, and Paddy's looking up and pointing at you and going, "That's my general!"
At this point, she's going to be like, the battle's not over yet! To the centre of town! And just start running across the rooftops in the general direction of the centre of town.
Victory is assured! As they turn and the 7 of them go running back towards the town. You start sprinting over the rooftops. I'd say because you're going over the rooftops and you're slightly less sort of confined in, if you want to make an athletics check or an acrobatics check, we can say you scale over a couple of the rooftops and it will only take you 1 more turn to get into the centre.
8.
8. You leap across and just go straight through a cloud of smoke that's being blown from some of the burning wagons on the east side of town, lose vision entirely, slam into the other side of the building, scrabble up. Like no one in the villagers noticed below, so you're like, we got away with that. And
Yeah,
you
that
continue
way
on.
when you get up and you check yourself to make sure nobody saw.
At this moment, we head over to Glut, and Glut arriving in the square, you look across and you can see a bear. No, not a bear. You can see your friend. You can see your friend Boglach on the far side of the square. Villagers moving ahead, almost being herded into the square by Boglach, and directly behind Boglach, wreathed in radiant light, white wings spread wide, the angel.
How far am I at the start of my turn from the angel?
Right now, from the start, you're across the square. You're about 60 feet away from the angel.
Okay, so even if I dash, I can't make it to him. So in that case, I'll shout to our villagers being like, alright, I don't want any of you getting accidentally stabbed by me, so everyone grab rocks and pelt that oversized poultry. And still urge my two companions to push me forward. Once they've done their 30 feet of movement, though, I'll get them to drop me. And for my remaining movement, when I'll dash from that point on to get towards them, I'll just hold my big sword out to the side, drop it, and then unsheath the long sword, just pointing at him all the while as I walk towards it.
The two dwarves under you run forward, and then using their momentum, run forward, and then like drop, so you can kind of barrel roll over the ground, come up running. You are exhausted. Every bone and muscle in your body is aching, and yet you press ahead, throwing one sword to the side, drawing out the ancient longsword, once held by this angel, as you plunge towards the fray and end your turn, pressing in through the villagers to stand beside your friend Boglach, beside the angel. Ending your turn there, we go over to Boglach.
Okay. I'm trying to decide between multiple plans. Plan Alpha has worked, so there's no need for Plan Beta.
Plan Cuck. Plan Cuck.
Plan Cuck might have to come into play at some point. Were you saying just there that, just to get an idea of like where exactly people are, so the villagers aren't next to the angel, is Glut next to me, so we're both kind of within the same, we're kind of within close proximity to the angel, yeah?
Yeah, right now Glut has run up and joined you, so you're now standing next to Glut, next to the angel. To some extent, even if it flies, it can get past you, but right now on the ground, you're kind of barring its way to the villagers.
No, I was just making sure that like Glut wasn't behind or anything.
No, within 5 feet.
If we're both facing. What I'm going to do then is I'm actually going to use a my last fourth level slot, to cast Conjure Woodland Beings. And I would like to conjure 8 fey creatures of challenge rating a quarter or lower. And that would be sprites.
Oh.
So basically, I want to look up at this angel. Like, I'm pretty low HP, so I probably look a bit battered and bruised, and I'll just like stare at this angel and be like, your god might be of justice, but even justice has to, bow down to nature. And then I'll just like throw up my hands, and like 8 little sprites will just appear, and I'll just be like, Hester, and just like get the sprites to like I imagine like the sprites coming are just like ashing into the face and stuff. It's mainly head orientated, just like, just annoying it, for want of a better word, and like distracting it, if that makes sense, if that's doable.
The air fills for a moment with the scent of cinnamon and cloves, heady floral smells, as if just for a moment little portals have opened into the Feywild. There's a glimmer of sparkling dust in the air, and your sprites leap from your palms, almost like doves leaping from the sleeves of a magician as they fly up into the face of the angel as you pit nature against justice. Do they move on your turn or after your turn?
So I believe they get their own initiative, so I just rolled there. So I rolled a 2 in the dice, and then would you add on their dex for... Oh no, they have +4 initiative, so 6 is their initiative.
In that case, that works perfectly, so they'll essentially go at the bottom of turn order after the angel.
Amazing, yeah, and it's... Yeah, awesome. And I'll kind of just tell them to Hester, which I imagine... Yeah, I'll work it out. All good.
I would say as well, once they've done their action, if what they're going to do is something like pester, there's a possibility that they could impose disadvantage or something on the angel's attacks, but that will obviously come on after they've taken their turn. So for now, they're just in the air but not necessarily doing anything.
Yeah.
The angel looks between Boglach and Glut, blinking through the glittering pixies, a look of genuine confusion passing across its face as it stares down at you, as if looking at mad creatures that have gone against their nature. It shakes its head for a moment and sighs, raises up the hammer and goes, "This is folly. I gave you a chance, and you did not take it." And the hammer comes crashing down towards Boglach.
I should have got out of there, but it was just too fun.
That is going to be 25 to hit.
Oh, definitely.
That is going to be 21 points of damage. There is a pulse of light as the hammer strikes you.
I am still standing, but Boglach is if Boglach was a pillar, then they are there's the cracks have shown very much so. It's like that giant thing's that we fought in the cave's about to hurl into it. Like, yeah, I'm incredibly low. I don't want to metagame Boglach's last legs, but still standing, and I believe it's concentration for the woodland beings. Which is, wait, how does it? I completely forget these. It goes out of my mind. How do you roll? It's half damage, which is 21, which would be 10 anyway, rounding down.
Yeah, so it's
a
10
DC
either way.
10. And then is it spell save DC that you add on, or is it just a D20 that you roll?
It's a con save.
Yeah, just a straight con save for
save. Oh,
10.
Yeah. So it's +2. I pass it. 13 I rolled. So I keep the sprites up.
The angel does have a second attack, I'm afraid.
Oh fuck! I forgot. Oh no!
Oh no.
I feel like Boglach then is as they take the full brunt of this attack, is for a moment they're proud of themselves. They're I keep standing. Especially maintaining that concentration on the spell. It's I have grown stronger over my time out in this adventure.
That's a 13 to hit.
Oh. Maybe nature really does love Boglach. I've got an AC of 14.
Oh!
Wait, you have an AC of what?
14.
Oh! That first blow hits you, light radiating out, the villagers shielding their eyes against the radiance. The hammer rises again, crashes down, and you bring your fist up, kind of pushing it aside, just managing to duck, and the hammer slams down into the earth beside you. There's a blast of radiant energy, and none of it is absorbed by you. The angel's turn ends, and we go over to the sprites.
Was it the sprites?
Yes, they're up.
That was such a scary turn that I didn't even have a chance to check. Well, the sprites have long swords and also short bows.
Sprites have long swords?
Apparently.
I thought they were tiny.
Are they
They've also
mini
got-
long?
Little needles.
They've also got 2 HP. If I'm looking at the right one.
They're fucked.
But quite a high armor class and speed. I'm just trying to see. They can turn invisible until attacks or casts. The sprite touches a creature, magically knows the creature's current emotional state. If the target fails a DC. Just to check, this is just to make sure I've got the spell right. If you summon 8 sprites, do they all work individually?
I think for the
Or
sake of
is
my
it
sanity
different?
as a DM, it's probably best if they all
Yes.
work individually.
Cool. Could I take one of them away? Because I really do want to try this heart sight. It says the sprite touches a creature and magically knows the creature's current emotional state. If the target fails a DC 10 charisma saving throw, the sprite knows the creature's alignment. Celestials, fiends, and undeads automatically fail the saving throw. And there'd just be a really nosy sprite who's what's up with this angel?
100%, we can do that.
How do you think about this?
I don't know if it just automatically fails the saving throw. Yeah, so it would just automatically fail, I guess, because I assume it's celestial, but actually I don't know.
Yeah.
It
So,
also says fiends, so I don't know.
do you want to say that we have 7 sprites who are acting as one, and then we have one nosy sprite who takes their turn first?
Yeah, I imagine like yeah, there's like a wee Tam Tamson sprite in the mix, you know?
You see, one of the sprites has a little flat cap on, and kind of like zooms in and pokes a little finger against the side of the angel. And does the sprite is the sprite able to communicate to you that information?
I'm honestly not too sure. I mean, the sprite apparently can talk Common, Elvish, and Sylvan.
I'd say in that case
Maybe
the
pronounce that
sprite
differently,
could
but it could shout out.
touch and call over to you.
Angry.
And tell me
It's
again
so
what
angry.
information it finds out.
Magically knows the creature's current emotional state. If the target fails a DC 10 Charisma saving throw, it also knows the creature's alignment, and Celestials, Fiends, and Undead automatically fail the saving throw. So I guess it's emotional state, and because it automatically fails, what's its alignment?
I'd say the sprite touches and then sort of staying within a 5-foot radius, so not taking any opportunity attacks, ducks down and whispers into your ear, Boglach, and you learn 2 things. The angel's emotional state, despite the kind of calm exterior, is filled with longing, a sense of deep isolation and loss, and a desperation for an approval it no longer feels. The angel's alignment is lawful evil.
Okay. I think Boglach gets a wee lump in their throat. They kind of realise that, like, yeah, just realising what the angel must have gone through. But I imagine the rest of the sprite squad are going in with their longswords.
Their little long swords.
Who would, maybe Boglach as well, like, those 7 sprites up there are kind of just attacking recklessly. This sprite, who's surprisingly like Tam Tamson, actually is able to tell a deeper and more emotional story. Maybe there's something to that Tam Tamson after all. But maybe it's just the concussion from
Character growth.
smacked with a mace. Yeah. We'll have to
Later
see.
on, Boglach could be like, I can't believe for a second I thought Tam Tamson might be a redeemable character. That angel really did a number on me.
I love the idea that the only way you could ever like Tam Tamson is if you've been hit in the head by a giant celestial hammer.
I mean, we'll have to see what the audience say, I guess. Are you Team Tam Tamson or are you Team...
Or are you the wrong side of history?
In
Are
that
you the wrong
case,
side of history?
what do the remaining 7 sprites do?
So I just rolled their longswords as like a group hit. I rolled a 9, which is +2. It was only 1 slashing damage per attack, apparently, but they miss, I imagine, with an 11. So
Well,
they are bad sprites.
For attacks, since there's like 7 of them attacking, what is their how many attacks do they have?
Just the 1, I believe.
And
Yeah.
what's the damage from it? What's the damage
1
die?
slashing damage if it hits. It doesn't even have a dice.
Oh well, I was gonna say if you want, what you could always do is roll at advantage and then deal half damage, or you can just take the roll normally and take the failure.
Honestly, I'm okay with the sprites. Just sort of, I feel like the sprites are there is an annoyance and maybe to take a blow possibly if they keep sort of hanging around. But I don't expect them to be like chipping away a ton of damage. So even just finding that out about the angel, I think, is going to have more relevance on Boglach's turn than the sprites attacking.
Right.
So I don't mind the sprites being not a very good squad.
The sprites duck and weave around the angel, like lashing at it, but these are tiny little short swords, like little needles, just kind of scratching at the side of the angel. You remember that when you saw the angel before, the angel's body is covered in old war wounds and healed lacerations from limitless conflicts over the eons. So a lot of these little blows are just kind of bouncing off old scar tissue at this point. At this point, we jump over to the top of the round with Zell.
Zell is, despite having nearly fallen, she's still gonna run across the rooftops as far as she can, into the city center. Well, city center, into the town center, to try and get as close to the action as possible.
You sprint forwards, and can you give me another athletics or dexterity check?
Sure.
See if that half-elven agility comes into play.
Yeah, please. Okay. Yes. 15.
On a 15, you are able to, while some of the villagers below are weaving their way through twisting and turns in the streets, you're able to just get a steady move across the rooftops, leaping from one roof to another, the agility of your elven heritage kicking in as you race towards the centre of the town, reaching a rooftop, and you realise you're on the roof of the general store that you were in just a few days before when this story began, looking down into the square below where the road intersects around the crumbling statue of Rannoch, now devoid of a sword. On the far side of the statue, lit by many different burning points of flame around the square as various wagons and barrels catch fire and torches are carried in by the villagers. From this lurid light you can see your friends, Boglach and Glut, standing before the angel lit by the blasts of radiant light from the angel's warhammer. The villagers pressing in around, and many of them are now picking up small pebbles and rocks, getting ready to wind up. They've evidently spent their last turns just kind of gathering bits of debris, old planks and rocks, and are now getting ready to start pelting the angel. What do you want to do?
She's gonna tell him, like, stay back, like, because she doesn't want to lose anymore. So, stay back from this awful situation.
Your villagers get to the bottom of the road in front of you and then kind of stop around the general store, and Paddy goes, "Do you want us to defend the general store?"
If the angel comes near the general store, sure, you can defend the general store, but don't come anywhere closer. Don't get any closer.
Our lives! And they all very gratefully press up against the door of the general store. You see one or two of them slip inside the general store, and they're kind of like standing there ready to defend the general store if the fallen angel Thazrael decides to go in and like steal some rope.
Storm the doors.
Yeah. You're within range at this point if you want to make any archery attacks.
Oh, yes, please. Is it just one or two that I can do? Because I get 2 attacks per
Oh,
action,
in fact, pardon
so...
me, I forgot that as your action would
or
probably
did I
be
dash?
to dash and to manage to kind of like get there rapidly. So on this turn you can't make that attack, but next time you're within range.
Right now I'm just watching from the rooftops.
Drawing your arrows and getting ready. In that case, over to Glutes, and you are in the fray.
So, Glut obviously saw Boglach just take like a meaty fucking bonk from that divine hammer, and seeing just how bloodied Boglach is, Glut's getting a lot of like flashbacks to their fight with the Cambion, where Boglach literally almost died. And Glut's just still really has like a little bit of like unresolved trauma from that night of almost seeing someone that like she basically loves at this point die. So like I'm gonna rage. It's my last rage as well, because I never got a long rest, so it's my final rage. But this isn't a rage born of like anger. This is one born of like fear and desperation that like my actions have to keep my friends alive because Glut couldn't deal with that loss again. So this isn't like screaming, this isn't shouting, this isn't curses. Like you actually see Glut like crying as she like runs towards this angel, and I'm gonna go for 2 reckless attacks. So attack number 1 is a 21.
Definitely hits.
And attack number 2 is a 24. So
Also hits.
Also, remind that thematically, this sword it just functions as a longsword. Yeah.
So
like
it's a
damage-wise and
longsword,
stuff.
but it is also a magical attack sword, so it will bypass resistances, which you can be pretty confident a Celestial has.
Okay, so that's fine. So just 2d8 then. So that's. Oh, nice. 8 plus 7 is 15. That is 29 slashing damage.
29 slashing damage and first blood as your sword levels up and slashes into the angel. The angel looks down as you arc the blade towards it, and it looks with absolute contempt at you. The idea of you swinging some crude piece of metal to try and damage it. And then it sees the blade, and it recognizes the blade. It sees the red gemstone clutched in the dragon pommel. It sees the curling ram's horn handle, and it recognizes it. And then a moment later, the blade bites into its arm, and a blast of radiant dust sprays out the side of its skin as your blade hews into the side of its forearm, dealing full damage.
So with my movement, staying in its attack range, I want to try and like maneuver around to the side of it, just to try and like separate its gaze from Boglak and just look up and say, "If you want this sword, then come and take it." And with that, I'll end my turn.
The angel looks at you and goes, "You have my attention," and begins to turn to follow you as you move. With that, your turn ending there, we go to Boglak.
I think what I'm not trying to achieve anything. I think Boglak is just curious. I'm just going to say to the angel, do you truly believe that finishing these age-old orders will bring you back into the grace of your god? Because I feel like it's only going to lead to more isolation and longing.
As you speak those words, the angel pauses for a moment, glances back towards you, its voice sounds again in your ears. You could not possibly comprehend the ordeals I have suffered for my cause, the pain of being separated from my God, from knowing that I have failed. I have no choice. If there is a chance for redemption, I must take it.
Would your chance of redemption not be to fight a just cause instead of punishing those that have done nothing? These are not the same. The blood may be the same today, but these are not the same people that you were sent down to end all that time ago. If anything, they've not had true justice given to them. They're being punished for the crimes of nothing that they've done.
Give me a persuasion roll. What I will say is, it has to be above 20.
Oh,
You know, with a -1, the couple of voice breaks that I think Boglak did, and also the mumbling from losing a lot of blood probably made it a little bit hard to.
If you crit, I would take that.
Okay, so it has to be a crit.
has to be a nat 20.
1 in 20.
It's a 14. Well, 13 -1.
You say those words, and the angel listens and hears them, and looks towards you and goes, I am in the front line of a war you do not even know is being waged. Do not try to sway me from my path. And does not follow your guidance. Is there anything else you want to do in this turn? I'd say probably trying to make that attempt would probably be your action for this turn, but if you want to do like a bonus or anything.
Can you heal yourself?
Myself. Boglak sort of realizes that they've talked too much and isn't able to wild shape into a bear because they run out of their action, which means that they're now even more scared because the idea was to say a line and then wild shape. So Boglak is terrified. But I will heal myself with the highest possible spell slot bonus action healing I can do. Which will be 3rd level, because that's all I've got left. My last 3rd level slot, and I will do bonus action healing word on myself. which is 3d4 plus 5, which is something. 6 plus 5, 11. That healing word? Yeah. I feel like Boglach like heals himself with the words by just saying to the angel, well, at least if I fall, I know I've fought a great evil today for a just cause.
It's that last line for a just cause that seems to get under the angel's skin for a moment. You can see there's kind of almost a wince, a twitch and a muscle in its neck. It is going to be up next, and it is going to attack Glut, who is wielding the sword.
With advantage, because I've recklessly attacked.
Oh, God, okay. 2 attacks. That is going to be a 22 to hit for the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And for the second one, a 26.
Both will hit.
So the first one deals... so they both deal 20 damage, reduced down. So that's going to be 10 damage in total from each of them. So 20 damage you take from the 2 attacks. The hammer rains down twice. In quick succession, you've put yourself up there in the front line to take that damage by getting in there, getting close within the guard of the angel, and these blows crash down on you, flashes of lightning, almost as if you're being struck by blasts of storm, and yet you stay on your feet as you take that damage. Next up is the sprites. Do you want to do anything with your flat cap sprite?
I feel like the flat cap sprite. Well, I'm gonna say, what would Tam Tamson do in this situation? I feel like the sprite works. What is Tam Tamson doing? And the sprite is probably doing a very similar thing.
I feel like they would try to do something like a sort of cutting words kind of approach, where they would lean in and say something offensive to the angel to try and throw them off, try and deal a tiny bit of psychic damage.
I feel like they would try that, but they don't have the cutting word spell, so they're just saying like nasty things. They're almost like backing. Maybe that's why I failed the persuasion Boglach things, because every time he was trying to make a point, the sprite was like, "Oh, that hurts." Oh, yeah. Like,
how'd you like these apples?
It's like riled the angel up against me. Like, are you gonna take that? Hit him. Hit him now.
Wipe
So I
him
think
out,
that's
wipe
what.
him out.
Yeah.
It's like a hype man you did not ask for.
Stop. I feel like the other 7, if they are able to, are actually going to use their short bows, because that's actually way more in terms of being able to hit. So I will roll for the short bows if they're able to kind of fire on this thing. On the angel, I should say, not this thing. Yeah?
Absolutely. They can all attack. The only thing is, unless it says otherwise in terms of like magical attacks, those would be reduced down to half.
It's not got the wee bit of text that says like considered magic. So,
No worries.
So it's plus 6. So rolled in a plus 6. 17 to hit.
17 hits.
Oh, amazing. So if there's 7 of them firing, it's going to be 7 piercing damage.
So reduced down to 3.
Awesome. And then it says, and the target must succeed on a DC 10 Constitution saving throw or become poisoned for 1 minute.
Oh, I mean, poisoned can be pretty tough, and the angel is not immune to poisoning. So a con save, you say?
Yep.
So it has a +4 to its Constitution. And it rolled a 4, so that's an 8. So the angel...
Oh, I was so excited there for a second because it said if its saving throw result is 5 or lower, the poison target falls unconscious. But it's 8,
Oh my
so
god,
it's
that
okay.
would have been so cool! These sprites could have come in. But the angel's still poisoned.
The angel is poisoned.
1 minute. Poison for 1 minute.
So how many turns is that?
That's 10 turns.
So for 10 turns, the angel has disadvantage on attack rolls. So that's pretty massive.
there doesn't seem to be any, like it just says, piercing damage, 10 con save, or become poisoned for 1 minute. If it fails more than 5, same duration, or until it takes damage. Yeah, so it doesn't even have a saving throw, it's just poison for a minute.
These sprites fly up, their little bows firing off. Twing, 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 it almost sounds like elastic bands being twung as these tiny little darts fly into the neck and upper shoulders of the angel. The angel ignores them for a moment and then kind of staggers slightly, puts a hand up against its chest, its eyes kind of bulging for a moment, the light sort of bleeding out of these white stars under its tangle of hair as the poison begins to work its way into its system. Ending its turn, or ending the sprite's turn, I assume, if they're not going anywhere else. Next up, you hear a roar from behind you. You hear Tam Tamson's voice upraised going, "Suck on this, you big fucker!" And another voice going, "It is a holy war!" As the constable, the rest of the village, Tam Tamson, Paddy, all of them begin hurling small pieces of debris through the air as a deluge of rubble, broken planks, broken glass from Tam's window, broken wood from Paddy's door flies through the air towards the angel. The angel is going to have to make a dexterity saving throw. And on a 14 does not make it. And the angel is... This is going to be somewhat reduced, but the angel is going to take 9 points of bludgeoning damage as you guys kind of duck down as a swarm of just refuse flies overhead, crashing into the angel. This angel raises its wings and its arms, kind of fending it off, but you have the incredible vision of a fallen celestial being ganged up on by about less than 30 villagers who are very, very pissed off right now. Ending their turn and ending the round, we go back to the top with Zell.
Zell, having seen this, is going to shout down to the villagers, like, "You're..." she's trying to be inspiring, but she's also, like, really stressed, so she's just like, "You're doing so well!" Like some kind of a, like, primary school teacher. And then she's going to fire 2 arrows at the angel, although it's probably not going to do a lot because they're not magical, but she wants to help in any way she can. Oh, wait! Can I cast Hunter's Mark on the angel?
You can.
Okay, well then I'm going to cast Hunter's Mark at 2nd level on the angel first. Then she's going to send 2 arrows at the angel. And just remind me, when I do that, do I then just add the Hunter's Mark thing to the...
To the total damage, yeah, and then the total damage will be reduced down. But yeah, no, D&D Beyond doesn't do it.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so 2 arrows at the angel. The first one is nat 20.
Oh!
Oh!
And that does... Hang on. $18 points of piercing damage, obviously reduced. Does that still have to reduce down to 9?
It does reduce down to 9, but it still does damage.
Yeah, awesome. She's aiming for like the same kind of like neck and shoulders area. The second one is only... It's not loading. It's only an 11 to hit.
That will miss, sadly.
Okay, that's fine. I did a crit for the first one, I don't care.
You fire that arrow in perfectly timed. That arrow should take this thing out. It strikes into the neck, burying itself just above the collarbone, but the angel seems to be somewhat resistant to that damage, and you know there's a sense of frustration that should have been a killing blow, and because you're going up against something that your arrows aren't magical, your bow isn't magical, you're not dealing that damage. And then you just have this strong sense that it doesn't have to be like that. Your arrows could deal magical damage if you wanted them to. Your bow could deal magical damage if you wanted them to. There are forces in this world that want you to win this fight, and all you need to do is just let them help you win this fight, and you just feel, amid the heat of the flames and the smoke gusting through the air, a chill steal across your skin. Would you in that moment, and you don't have to make the decision now, but if you want, your arrows could all become magical on your next turn, but that's entirely up to you. As we leave that, we go over to Glut down in the frenzy in front of the angel.
Yeah, I know I said before that this was born out of fear, but I've seen this fucker bleed, and Glut's now just back to Glut. Boglak totally forgotten. She just wants to see the thing die. So 2 more reckless attacks. Attack number 1 is a 19.
Hits.
And then attack number 2 is another 19.
Oh, both hit.
So that is... Where's my d8s? So that is... 2 plus 5, 7... that is 21 slashing damage.
Hell yeah. And full damage from this magical sword.
And with my movement, I want to just try and put myself between the angel and Boglak, similar to what I've done with the Cambion. I just want to have that 5-foot meat shield between this aggressor and my friend. And with that, I'll end my turn.
You get in between the angel and Boglak, you deal that damage, and again another lashing blow where as you bite into the angel's side with the sword, bright sort of gold and white dust glowing spills out of the angel's side. As you deal that damage, the angel looks down at you and goes, "Where did you get that sword?"
From your mother.
Incredible. We go over to Boglak. What do you want to
do? I feel like trying to keep on. Oh, what am I going to do? I'm just going to double check. I'm going to do something just before. How is Glut looking?
Don't even worry about it.
Don't even worry about it.
Don't even worry about it.
Okay. Should I worry about it though? Like,
don't even worry about it.
Could I observe Glut without Glut answering?
I'd say you can make an insight check.
Yeah, is Glut looking damaged at all? Plus 5 to insight.
You're pretty close, so it's a DC...
12.
I was going to say DC 14 for that. Yeah. Like, you can definitely tell that Glut has taken damage. Glut's covered in blood, but like, it's hard to tell how much of that is Glut's blood and how much of that is other people's.
It's rare that Glut's not covered in blood.
Exactly, or vomit.
True. I feel like the sort of belt and braces approach, I am going to cast Healing Word on Glut. And this might mix up a wee bit, but I imagine the Healing Word comes from arcane words that I say. But all Glut sees is that Boglak uses their action to transform into a brown bear and puts like a big meaty paw on the Glut's shoulder and like roars in their ear as like a healing action.
Amazing.
Glut's jaw just like almost like drop. I almost drop my rage for a moment upon seeing this. Like my jaw almost touches the floor. That's incredible.
Thankfully, your jaw is healed up for 11 HP.
Oofed. Alright, now you really don't need to worry about me. Beforehand, you might have needed to worry about me a wee bit. I won't lie. Yeah, but you can worry about me a less so now.
Amazing. That's my bonus action spell, action to transform. I'm going to stay in the fray. I'm not going to fall back or anything, but that's me.
You hear Tam just behind you going, "Bear's back. Now we're definitely going to win."
Oh, I feel like Boglak, when they hear that, like instinctively looks at their back, and I really hope Tam Tamsin doesn't catch Boglak's thought of this is where he stabs me in the back. This is when it happens. As soon as I've used all my higher level spell slots as well, that tricksy bastard waited for this moment. And then I hear that last time and I'm like, oh no, actually it's all good.
Do you say that all out loud?
I think it. Or okay. Maybe I grumble.
Could you imagine?
Like
you're roaring. And Tam probably thinks that you're like cheating him on.
Yeah, Tam's behind you.
And then I turn around and squeal a little bit. I go like... like if bears could like make a noise of terror,
What?
it's like roar into pure terror, like whoa.
You can see Tam is standing behind you, brandishing a dagger in one hand, but like in Tam's eyes, he's roaring enthusiastically, but in your eyes are like, this could be it.
Could be. Yeah. And he's brought a knife as well. He's doing it on purpose. He's got a bit of a knife in the back. He had a rock and a sword last time I saw him. Now he's got his dagger from He's been planning.
Sales dagger's gone. Tam somehow managed to pickpocket.
It's the long con. It's the long con.
At this moment, we go over to the Angel. The Angel is going to attack Glut again, looking down at Glut, getting in between Boglak and the Angel. The Angel goes, "It doesn't matter to me what order you die in. You all die the same. You're vermin. You're rats." And swings down the hammer at you again. Do you reckless attack in your last turn?
Oh, I do, so that would nullify the disadvantage, so it'd just be straight rolls.
First one is a 23 to hit.
Will hit.
Second one is a 21 to hit.
Both hit.
So from the first one, reduced down, you're going to take 11 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And from the second one, reduced down, you're going to take 10 damage. So
Okay.
21 damage in total as these two blows crash down into your radiant energy, rippling across your skin. That is going to be the end of the Angel's turn. Next up are the sprites.
So the sprites were just going to, I imagine, fire off their short bows again, but they will miss, having rolled a 11 in total.
No worries. I say also, if you want, you can just have all your sprites move as one. The flat cap is going to rejoin the firing squad. For now.
Yeah, I'm not
Might
too
get
sure what the flat
nosy
caps
again and try to work out how the Angel's feeling a few minutes later. Like, oh, you've been poisoned.
Yeah.
How are you feeling now?
The flat cap guy keeps on coming back over and going, "Do you want to know how he feels?" Oh. Same as before, but queasy.
Queasy. That's good. It means surely that means we're winning, but Boglak's up there now, so it's just going towards.
The villagers are going to spend their turn gathering more bricks, stones, planks, ammunition. That takes their full turn, but it means on their next turn they're going to be able to make another ranged attack back to the top of the round. Zell, you're up on the roof, and you have that sense flowing through you, certainty that if you open yourself up to something, you can imbue all of your attacks with magic.
She's gonna do it.
You open yourself to this for a moment, just like a helping hand in a moment you need it, and you look down, you're holding the bow and the arrow knocked in the bow, and you see, as if someone is standing behind you, you see a pale blue hand reach around you and come to rest, long, thin fingers come to rest on the wood of the bow. White frost flows out along the bow, just for a moment, like a hoar frost on an early morning, fades away on the wood of the bow. All of your arrows now deal cold damage and are magical.
Yay! Zell's very impulsive, okay? If this is gonna win this fight, she don't care. Like, she'll worry about that later. And she's gonna send 2 newly magical arrows at the Angel. And as she does, can the Angel hear me? Like, if I yell...
Yeah, if you yell out, you're pretty close.
She's gonna yell... I feel like Glut's rubbed off on Zell a little bit. She's gonna yell, "Hey, ugly! I got the sword, and I spoke to Rannoch too." Try and draw him away. This
Well,
might
attention.
all be absolutely terrible, but she's doing it. So the first arrow is 27 to hit.
Hits.
And that deals... Give me 2 seconds. 6 cold damage? Is that how it works now?
Absolutely.
Perfect. And the second one
In fact, no,
is-
pardon me.
Oh.
So it does the damage and then roll a 1d6 of cold damage.
Oh, okay. So then I have to roll another 1d6?
Yeah, so just roll an extra d6 of cold damage on top of that.
Okay, hang on. So it was 6 damage and then 2 cold damage.
2 cold damage, and you can
And then,
see
have
as
you
you're
done your hunter's mark as well?
Yeah, that included my
Okay.
hunter's mark. Unfortunately, the damage rolls were pretty low.
your arrow flies across, and you can see as it moves a pale, crackling blue cold energy around the head of the arrow, almost as if being fired from that bow, and it lit the arrow up. It strikes into the angel, and as that cold, crackling energy spreads through the angel's skin, the angel looks up, eyes fixed on you, and audible only to Glut and Boglach close by, the angel goes, "She's here."
Oh,
And
God.
you can make your second attack.
Okay. That is 14 to hit. So I think
Just misses. Anything else you want to do?
No, that's it. She's
In that
done all
case-
of her stuff.
Ending your turn, we go over to Glut.
Okay. I'm just gonna recklessly attack twice again. I see a bear, and Glut's natural instinct is to protect the bear, and the best way to protect the bear is by cutting this fucker's head off.
And you're now
So-
standing between the bear and the angel. This feels very right to you.
Oh, I won't let this angel lay a fucking finger on this bear. First attack is a 24.
Yeah, that
and
hits.
The second attack is a another 24.
Also hits.
Nice. That is 4 plus 4, 8. That is 23 points of slashing damage.
23 points of slashing damage. You are hacking into this thing, and every wound you open in the side of the angel continues to spill out more radiant dust. While other wounds may have left only lacerations and scars, your wounds are, it's almost like you're cutting this thing from the reality that it dwells in at the moment. Every blow tearing a part of its essential essence out as more light begins to spray out in every direction.
And then in my time, I'm just gonna like raise my arms up in the air again, like a bear, and just try and be as blocking as much space as I can between the angel and the bear behind me.
Absolutely. Next up is Boglach.
Boglach really wants to find out what that angel meant by "she's here," because it can't be Rannoch. Well, it could, but from what Boglach's heard, it's not Rannoch.
And at this point as well,
but there's no
Boglach
way
doesn't
to-
really know much about what happened to Zell or anything like that, so you are operating
No,
without
I
any
feel like
context.
Boglach knows nothing. Like, I feel like Boglach. I think the first thing Boglach thinks is, well, I feel like this doesn't matter, but is Tyr canonically like referred to in a certain pronoun, or like
Give me a religion
is it
check.
like? I feel like that might actually make it. If it's like Tyr's here, it's like no. 12.
12. On a 12, the religion check is not so much to, like, there's an element of religious theory here, but there's also thinking back just over what other people have been referring to Tyr as throughout this. You know Tyr gets referred to as both genders at times, but predominantly female.
Okay. Oh. That's I feel like Boglach in bear form does a quick sweep of the sky. It's like, are we now going to fight a god? And then hopefully is like, well, if we're going to fight a god, we need to take this thing down first. So is going to multi-attack, unbite, one claw. I feel like
It's
is
time.
gonna saddle up right next to Glut. Can kind of tell that Glut's trying to defend, and kind of in a very loving way, like nudge Glut out the way and be like, "We're fighting this thing together." And then biting.
A
claw.
moment Glut will hold on to for the rest of her life.
Also, just to make sure I've got this right, you're over 6th level, so that means your attacks are magical, right?
Oh,
Your wild shape attacks.
Let me double check the features.
Is that not a moon druid thing?
Is that Moon Druid?
It might be a.
I
It might be a
believe,
particular
I believe
store.
that's a moon druid thing.
That would make sense. I'm just checking. Yeah, that's Moon Druid, Primal Strike.
Oh, jeez. It's so good being that
Sorry
much of a
about
nerd.
That was like a proper like. Well, actually. Okay, so for the bite, it's going to be 18 to hit.
That hits.
Cool. So that's going to be piercing damage. It's 1d8 plus 4. So I rolled a 7. So 11 piercing damage from the bite,
Reduced down to 5.
and then for the claws, it's going to be 24 to hit.
Hell yeah.
Amazing. And that's going to be 2d6 plus 4, which is 8 plus 4, so 12 half to 6
Nice.
slashing damage.
The angel is starting to look pretty rough. You are dealing what appears to be kind of very physical damage. You're tearing its skin, its muscles, weakening it physically, while directly in front of you, your companion is hacking away at its soul and its essence. The two of you rapidly reducing it to the point where that finishing blow can dispel it from existence. Anything else you want to do?
I think I'll just use my bonus action to like nudge away the sprite in the flat cap that's like still trying to tell me the emotional state of
What's
of
the
the
emotional
angel.
state of the angel now he's saying she's here? Come on, this could be relevant information.
True. Maybe it's a friendly like. Oh, go on then. I'll hear it this time when the sprite's turn.
The sprite's like,
It's like, finally!
It's like
My moment! I've been waiting for this for like 30 seconds!
yeah, most impatient sprite ever.
Next up is the angel. The angel is going to, as an action, disengage and fly 90 feet to Zell. Without
I
even
knew this might be a mistake.
looking at Glut and Boglak at this point. It's like its eyes have just... It's taking this damage. Its eyes are not focused on you. It's looking directly, unblinking towards something on the other side of the square. Flies up and, beating its wings, races across the square to land, kind of... Not land, but hover directly in front of you, Zell. Its eyes burning white into you as it stares down at you. This flickering hammer in its hand as it says, "What have you done? What have you done?" And it's going to end its turn there. It can't attack. It disengaged. What do the sprites do?
oh,
Sprite's over.
the sprites only have 40 feet of flying, so I feel like this thing races away. I imagine the flat cap sprite is like just going in for a touch, and then it like flies away, and it's like, oh no. So yeah, I feel like the sprites will start flying over, like full action stuff, fly 80 feet towards the angel.
They can
Still
get pretty
looking
close.
pester.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they can longbow actually. So yeah, they can just fire. They'll kind of move towards the angel.
Oh, actually, no, sorry. Just to clarify, I misspoke. So, the angel moved 90 feet, but that was to gain elevation and then fly. The actual distance is 60 feet away. So, the sprites could fly pretty close, well within like bow shot range. And basically, they're now... They could fly like right to it and then almost be at the same level.
Unfortunately, I rolled a 4, which means it's going to be a 10 in total. So I imagine Flat Cap Sprite has started reading the emotions of the other sprites and has distracted them from firing off shots. And Boglak notices that and is like, there's always one that lets down the side.
The Tam Tam.
Or side eye at Tam Tamson.
Yeah, Boglak sort of.
all
Boglak
neutral
actually
good.
Boglak doesn't think the Tam Tamson of. Usually his mind goes there over the last couple of days, but now he just thinks there's always one. It's not Tam Tamsin. Tam Tamsin's done. He had the opportunity, and he didn't stab me in the back, and that I would hold in highest regard.
You
Right
can hear
then.
Tam Tamsin behind you shouting, "The angel's on the run! The day is ours!"
I go, see? He turned. Wait, he's still facing me with that dagger. No, I'm looking.
Now's my time!
The angel's on the run.
I've hated you
Take
from
out
the
true
moment I
evil.
met you.
Exactly. Wait, the angel's attacking Zell. I'm gonna join the angel's side. Yeah.
Ending the sprite's turn, then the villagers are slightly confused by the sudden movement of the angel, are going to turn and unwind and hurl their debris through the air. Paddy has realised he's now standing directly below the angel and is like, "It's coming for the general store!" and starts hurling rocks at it. That is going to be to hit. That's really good. It's 21 to hit. And reduced down, that is going to be 8 points of bludgeoning.
Yeah, we'll take it.
100%. The angel is struck from behind by multiple pieces of debris thrown at it, kind of catching in its angel wings. It's getting really low on HP at this point. The wounds dealt to it by the longsword seem to have this lasting effect, and there's now just a glittering rain of light pouring down out of the multiple wounds on its body, almost like sort of glowing white snow coming down on the confused villagers below it. That's going to end the villagers' turn, and we go to Zell standing on the edge of this roof, looking up at the angel just kind of directly in front of you.
Zell's just gonna look at it and go, "I did what had to be done to stop you." And then she's just gonna, I mean, it's gonna be difficult to miss, and yet she may still manage fire 2 of her magical arrows at the angel. The first is 14 to hit.
That misses.
Okay. Second one is 20 to hit.
Hits.
Dirty 20. And that does... Ugh. Right, 5 piercing damage and 2 cold damage.
2 cold damage. Okay. The angel, as it hangs there, arrows sprouting out of it, crackling cold energy flaring from the arrows, looks gaunt and haggard and damaged to the point where you do not think it has long for this world. It evidently has its attention focused on you right now, and but time is ticking on this thing. Anything else you want to do in your turn?
No.
In that case, we go to Glut.
So I'm gonna hobble towards the general store as much as I can with my half movement speed. So see if I took an attack roll with disadvantage, could I try and throw the sword at the angel? Like overhand, like axe throw it?
I'd say at disadvantage, especially because it's a long sword rather than a great sword, you can move sort of 15 feet forward, wind up an attack, and make a disadvantage attack there.
Okay. Disadvantage, that is a 9 and
Using your dexterity as the attack modifier.
Oh, dex is my attack, fuck. Okay, shit, okay. So
Since this is a ranged aiming attack.
would I still have, would it be dex and proficiency, or just dex?
Good question. I'd say with this, you're proficient with longswords. The important thing is to know the weight and feel of a longsword if you're going to throw it. So if you're proficient with a longsword, then you've got proficiency.
Alright, so that's an 11 and a 9. So that's a 14 then to hit.
You're looking for a 17 for the AC here.
Okay.
But
in which case,
if you're throwing that through, on a 14, I would say it doesn't hit the angel. It buries itself in the tiles next to Zell.
Ooh,
oh.
yeah, I can pick it up.
So because I have a second attack, I'm gonna just go. Can I go for a javelin throw then?
Absolutely.
14 plus 5. Oh, that's a 19.
That hits.
But that is minimal damage. That is a 4 damage.
4 damage. Zell, you look up and you see the sword flies through the air into the slates next to you. A spray of slate and dust and wood chip flies out as you recognize the sword of Rannoch buried in the roof next to you. A moment later, the angel shakes in the air and you see a black spear tip jutting through the front of the angel's chest. But the angel is still alive.
So I don't know this, but you said this at the time. Doesn't it have to make some sort of charisma save because that spear's magical?
It does, but it is immune to any charm-related effects, so
It's a charm effect?
Yeah.
I have a charm javelin? That's hilarious. Okay, that's hilarious. Okay, I in my turn.
But you have a javelin that literally just makes people like you.
It's like my rock. It's like my rock from the first episode. Oh my god. The callback.
Okay, Gloot has brought this thing almost to its knees, and on that we jump over to Boglach.
Am I able to ready an action? Could it be like it's acid arrow? So could it be that I ready an action to fire acid arrow if both of the angel's attacks hit Zell? Because I feel like that's going to be a big amount of damage. So before the second,
Zell hasn't taken any damage since this all started. By the way, she's been above it all. So
it's tricky to get the wording. So maybe like, yeah, actually that would be okay if both attacks hit. Could I fire off the spell? Because even then, if Zell goes down, I feel like hopefully the acid arrow would take the angel down and we'd have time to save Zell.
Yeah.
So could that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So if the angel's second attack hits, that's the trigger after the... If its first two attacks hit, then the second successful attack is the trigger for you firing acid arrow.
I understand the damage of the second attack will probably trigger first, so Zell might still go down, but if both hit and the damage is dealt, then I kind of fire as like a reaction to Zell going down. So maybe that's it. If Zell goes down, could I fire an acid arrow as a reaction?
100%. So if Zell drops to 0 HP and goes down unconscious, you lose acid arrow, which at least potentially could remove the angel before it can do a killing blow against Zell, which you do get the impression it's focused in against Zell right now.
Yeah, I just feel like Boglach thinks that sword needs to deliver the final blow, but wants to protect Zell at the same time. In that case, I will drop Wild Shape as well, so I'm able to cast that spell. And I think I'll kind of stumble forward to Tam Tamsin, who I don't know is probably distracted and like chucking rocks and stuff, and I'll just go, "He didn't take the opportunity to stab me in the back." And for that, I feel like finally we've both built a bridge. You know, we've destroyed a bridge tonight, and now we've rebuilt a bridge of new hope that we can see eye to eye. And I feel like Boglach's kind of very low on vigor and is kind of like half mumbling, half like leaning on Tam as he says this, like a really drunk guy at a bar who's like,
gonna say,
a bridge blew up, but we've built another. And it's just like straight like right in Tam's ear while this angel like beats down.
Tam reaches up, puts a hand on your shoulder and goes, "Boglach, you're not off the hook yet, you bastard." And then
oh, I saw you with that dagger behind me, and I knew there was something in your eyes.
Oh my God, same.
we'll have this conversation after about bridges.
At this moment,
I'm up for destroying two bridges today. The
angel is going.
To be an encouraging bit of like to Tam, you know, he still managed to nosedive, and Bog's like, "I fucking hate you, actually."
Yeah, exactly. Tam was asking for it there. He could have been like, "Cool," but instead he's like, "Still hate you." It's like, whoa.
Okay, anyway, back to the angel.
The angel floating above you in the air. This black metal javelin, like jutting out of its chest, raises the hammer up over its head, looks down at you with its burning white eyes, and says, "The taint continues. The blood is still cursed, and you have sworn an oath." And the hammer comes crashing down on you for 2 attacks, but it is at disadvantage because of the poison.
Yeah.
So for the first one, it is going to be a dirty 20.
Okay, yeah, that hits.
Ooh, but for the second, it is going to be a 12.
That misses.
Then on the first, you are going to take 22 points of damage as the hammer crashes down into you. Your body burning with that energy flowing through your veins, the hammer crashing down. The angel, with a ferocity that was reserved only for you, seems to be attacking you with a vengeance. But at this moment, we go over to the sprites.
I feel like the sprites, there's a little bit of infighting. I
They're
feel
all just
You're
like
so good.
buzzing
You're so
around
good.
having their own fights.
Yeah, they're all kind of reading each other's emotional states because they feel like they've not really worked as a unit, and they're kind of, there's a wee bit of infighting. So I don't think they'll be doing. There's one sprite maybe who's like seeing what I'm doing, and while the 7 of them fight, one of them's like, I must hold the line now, and like draws its short bow ready to fire this angel if everybody else falls. It's like, I will finish this if I must, but first I must you know really lay into Flat Cap Sprite, who's been really pushing boundaries for a while now.
We're all just kind of beating on Flat Cap Sprite.
There's a lot of long swords happening, doing 1 slashing damage, which actually is half their HP. So there's a lot of. It's a deadly.
The stakes are high. The stakes are very high.
Flat
if
Cap
they
is.
crit, it's over.
Flat Cap is like touching them all and going, jealous. You're in a jealous state of mind. Jealous of my good looks. Do you want to roll attacks for them against Flat Cap?
No, I don't know.
Or have they not come to violence
take away
yet?
From the,
It's like, you know, just
It's a lot of sword. It's a lot of sword waving
Yeah,
right
it's
now,
the
but no one's
jostling.
actually
Hold me
swinging.
I feel like one of them swings. They roll a nat 1, so it's okay. one of them swings but misses, and that causes a lot of like, right, now we're getting to it's turning a bit serious now.
Everyone has a momentary pause when they realise that could have killed someone.
Exactly.
Whoa,
They
guys,
did
let's
it.
cool it down.
I love the idea that for a moment, everyone, including the angel and all the villagers, gets distracted by this like epic mini fight going on in the air with the sprites, and then they all turn, like the angel and Zell turn back to each other and are like, right, anyway, on with it.
Anyway, focus. Yeah, the fuck? The villagers spend their turn rapidly gathering up materials, planks, rocks, getting ready for another volley. They have no idea about any magic sword. They're just like, we need to stone this thing. As they're getting ready to do that, we jump over to top of the round with Zell.
So Zell is kind of back on the roof at the moment. Obviously, she's just been knocked back by this celestial hammer, and she's gonna turn and take the sword and swing it upwards, slashing at the angel's neck.
Standing on the edge of the roof, the flames roaring up from the various like nearby wagons that are catching. You take that lash, the smoke kind of like pooling in front of your face. What's the attack?
I rolled a nat 1.
But
I
You
get
have
2
2
attacks.
You do
per
have 2
action.
attacks.
Zell.
So
Come on, Zell. Come on, Zell.
the first one misses, and she slashes again. And I rolled an 11 for fucking
2 swings, both just missing as the angel readies another attack against you. Anything else you want to do in your turn?
Oh, cry. No, I really thought I had it there for a second. Noah.
So you're standing up quite high on this, on the edge of like the multi-story general store that goes up to kind of there's like an apartment space above it, and then the peaked roof that you're now standing on. If you jump off the roof, you can make an extra attack.
Okay, I'll do it.
You will take damage when you hit the ground, but you
I
can
don't
essentially.
care.
And one other thing I would say is there's a possibility if you jump off the roof and try to make this attack, you might drop or lose the sword in the process.
Don't care.
But you can make that if you want.
Okay, I will leap forward, jump off the roof, and plunge at the angel.
Come on, Zell.
16.
Just misses.
No!
Can you make a dexterity saving throw, please?
Fuck.
This to see if you hold on to the sword.
25. Of course I
25.
roll high there.
You plunge into the street below, taking 13 points of bludgeoning damage as you crash to the ground, falling prone, but clutching the sword in one hand. The angel above you kind of turns, readying to plunge down towards you. Ending your turn there, we go over to Glut.
So, how far am I from the foot of the general store?
You're 60 feet away.
Even with moving
pardon
forward.
me, no, you move forward 15 feet, so you are a little bit less.
45 feet.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So when Zell gets hit with like the big hammer, you just hear Glut scream, "That should be me!" As I charge forward, and I am just gonna, I'm gonna dash. I'm just gonna move my 30 feet towards
Closing in.
closing in. Yeah. And after that, I'll end my turn. But that does end my rage
Oh, right.
because I've not dealt damage, so my rage is done.
In that case, we jump over to Boglach.
Just to confirm, the angel looks incredibly beaten up, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like one more attack will do it.
Yeah.
Oh, you have just seen your friend, like, take a huge
Crash
beating
into
and
the
then fall off the roof. So she's, you can guess she's probably doing pretty rough right now.
I mean, I could just fire at it with an acid arrow.
It's a choice you
I
have
think
to
Boglach needs to bet on the fact that I think the angel needs to be destroyed. Like, we've literally just dealt with a Cambion who might come back any point. I feel like Boglach doesn't know a lot about how angels would operate, but it's probably a similar sort of thing. I feel like the sword needs to kill it. So in that case, I'm going to second level healing word. Zell. I think this will work. I hope it works.
Uh-huh.
That's 2d4 plus 5. 9 healing points with you, Zell.
Okay, I'll take it.
This isn't so much like a tactical thing in terms of like Zell's closer. How could I think Boglach knows that it could be ended. I think Boglach's fear is just like we could literally reduce this thing and then it could just come back a couple of days later, full strength, and like villagers have failed or fallen. Yeah, I feel like I'll heal Zell as much as I can. And then I'm going to move forward into like 30 feet, just like walking beside Glut.
You move forward to stand beside Glut, pressing in towards the heat of the battle, towards your fallen comrade who's already starting to kind of get herself up off the ground. Next up, the angel swoops down. Zell, you're in the process of standing up. You look down, and above you, the air is full of sparks and hot ash flowing through the air. And for a moment, your eyes are almost blinded by this flowing, sparkling light pouring down on you as the angel, its life force bleeding out of it, begins to descend towards you. It comes down, and it is going to make 2 attacks against you at disadvantage.
They both hit.
The first one is a crit.
No!
Two
That's too
20s?
fun.
No, the first roll was a crit.
Oh, right, okay. Disadvantage, though.
Okay.
Roll is that is going to be 14.
Misses.
Ooh.
Second attack. That is going to be a dirty 20 on the second.
That will hit.
And that will be 19 points of damage.
Okay.
The hammer crashes down into you again. The first one comes down, you roll to one side, and then it sweeps along the ground, crashing into you. Are you still up?
Still up.
The hammer
Yes.
rises up, ready for another blow. But that is the end of the angel's turn. The sprites, I assume, what are the sprites up to?
Sprites are having some kind of war, if you may say, at the moment. A lot of bad blood is coming out from the sprite side. I think half of them turn invisible because they don't want to be part of it, but 4 of them just continue fighting amongst themselves. I don't know. I think I'll roll a d20 And I'll say if it's even, someone goes in for another attack. If it's odd, they just keep kind of fist fighting. And that was a nat 20, so I feel like one of them swings
That's
again.
where your nat 20
roll.
comes in? Really?
I was going to
Rolling
say
for
that's
the
kind of
sprites!
the sprites roll a nat 20 on deciding to try and kill one, and one of them rolls a 17 plus 2, which is 19, which will definitely hit. It's only one slashing damage, so kill. But first blood has been drawn.
Black Cap is on
the
half.
sprites. I think some of them then become invisible to join in, and it's getting pretty rowdy. Bob
too
Black's trying
pretty.
to scream orders at them, but for some, even this spell fails against the anger and the jealousy, as the Tam Tamson sprite pointed out, that exists in this cohort.
The sprites have gone
So,
completely AWOL. They've been summoned for like a very serious task, and they're now just butchering one of their own because he's mildly annoying. The Feywild is brutal. At this moment, Tam Tamson, as we come to the villager's turn, looks towards you, Boglak, and goes, "One more volley should finish it off."
It needs to be the
Don't
sword.
you dare!
It's
I'm
not.
gonna rip that thing's fucking head off!
But Boglak, do you say anything in response to that?
I think Boglak's they can act on their own accord, but Boglak says it has to be that sword. I have to destroy the soul of this thing.
I say that makes zero sense to most of these people.
But we're their generals!
Anyone who kills that angel has to face me in the circle!
I'll say to Tam Tamson, I can see you don't understand this, but if
Oh,
I've
now
done
you're calling him
anything
stupid?
no, I'm not even going to react to that. Zell, you're like rolling around almost dead on the ground. So I know Bogla can't hear you.
No, Zell's not saying
Boglak's just
anything.
gonna say,
She's spitting up blood over in the corner.
Boglak just thinks what Zell would say, which is, you're calling them stupid now, and gets a wee bit of a sweat.
Shut up, Zell. Stop it.
No, I understand you might not... I know that you might not understand the significance of this sword and this being, but if I've done anything to gain your trust over the course of this fight, then believe me that it has to be that specific sword that deals the final blow.
I knew that. I'm the storyteller after all. Hold fire! Hold fire! And you see the villagers kind of wind down their arms. They do not attack. You know what? A couple of them do throw, but they hit the pixies. They accidentally aim for the pixies.
The conflict is that fierce. That's what they believe the main threat is now. It's this pixie battle spilling into the streets.
Can you give me a collective dexterity saving
I've
throw
already
for
made
the
it
pixies?
canon that the spirits aren't listening to Boglak. I've already made it canon that the spirits have
Oh,
stopped
pardon me,
listening
for
to
the
Boglak, so-
sprites. Can you give me a dexterity saving throw for the sprites?
Awesome, so it's +4, so they roll a 9.
They take 7 points of damage. I'd say at least a couple of them just die as they're struck by bricks flying through the air.
They have 2 hit points each. So 7, if you include the one that already took half, like 1 slashing damage from the sword,
4 die.
4 of them die. Which could be the 4 that were fighting, because 4 of them were still invisible. So actually, they
So
wouldn't
the 4
get
that
hit.
were fighting.
So
Did
the 4 that
Flatcap
were
get hit
fighting-
then?
Flatcap did.
Flatcap's down.
Fucking
Flat
live
cap.
back-
You hits with the brick, turns towards and goes, "You're all fucking jealous!" And then is kind of like torn in half by a piece of broken glass that flies through him. Top of the round is Zell. Zell, you can use half your movement to stand up.
Come on, Zoe, you got
Okay,
this. You
she's
got
gonna
this.
Yeah, you can do it,
dagger
you can do
to her feet and lift the sword, and again, with deep hope, plunge it upwards. Fuck. First one's 9! Right, roll 20's not doing it for me. I'm rolling it with my d20.
Yeah, you have 2 attacks, Zoe. Second one. This
Right,
is it.
second one. 16.
Come on!
So close.
16.
2
16.
blows lashing up into it.
Someone just take this bloody sword from me and do it!
At this moment, we jump over to. Unless there's anything else you want to do in your turn?
No.
At this moment, we jump over to Glut.
So if I'm 15 feet away from them and I use my turn moving, could I sacrifice one of my attacks by yanking the sword off of Zell and then using my that being like my first attack to grab that off of her, then using my second one to try and stab the angel with it? Because everyone keeps chatting about the sword.
Even better than that, as you're running forward, Zell can see that in the interim, her two companions are almost at her. So Zell, you can ready it. It doesn't have to be like a yank. You're ready, and you can hand the sword over as Glut runs up.
Take it.
Okay, so Zell points it out, but I grab it like blade first, and then just go for like an overhand swing with the hilt. For the first attack. And you know what? I'll make these reckless.
I'd say just for this, you take 6 points of piercing damage, of slashing damage, as you wrap your hands around the blade.
My first attack, I've rolled 2 nat ones. A 1, what's that, like a 1 in 400 chance? So
you 2 attacks?
Glut is then gonna quickly.
Is Angel invincible? Are all her dice cursed? Like,
Glut is then just gonna do like a little flick to like flip the sword in midair, and cause Glut's really professional with sword, just catch it by its hilt and go for like an overhand swing, like almost like a big like overhand stab. And again, reckless, and that is a 19, a 7 and 11.
Oh my god, finally!
So, but I'm not raging though, so that is slightly reduced damage. 7 plus my, that'd be 5. So what's that? 12 slashing damage.
How do you do this?
So Glut's also pretty fucked up. Glut only has 19 hit points left.
Zell has 4.
Well, Glut has over 70 to start with, so I go for the big overhand swing, but the angel, ready for it, catches the blade in both of its hands, essentially holding it away from its chest, and him and I struggling at it for a while. And Glut almost has a moment of doubt and doesn't know what to do, but what does she see? She looks this side and sees Constable with his hands bowed together in prayer, and ducks his head down, which gives Glut an amazing idea. So with her head, tilts back, headbutts. Fucking hell. My headset came off with that. Headbutts the hilt of the sword, and the sword goes in a little bit more towards its chest. She goes back. She headbutts again. This time you hear the crack as her skull starts to fracture under the pressure of these repeated headbutts to the hilt, and just smash, smash, smash. It's a crack, then a crunch, then a shatter as she deals exactly 21 points of bludgeoning damage to her own head, piercing the sword through the chest of the angel, but also knocking her out. Is just like bits of skull, and her face is just smashed to fucking pulp, and she basically collapses on top of the corpse of the angel, unconscious.
The image of Constable. Amazing. Like, there's a brief pause in the swelling of the music, and it's like.
You pound with your own head like a hammer the ancient cursed sword of Rannick into the angel. The angel's eyes pulse blazing with a brilliant white light, and then that light goes out. And as you slump forward, Glut, on top of the broken corpse of the angel, white light spills out across the square as the angel's body begins to disintegrate under you, turning to pale grey ash. White light bursts out in a sudden explosion, almost blinding everyone who's facing in this direction. People put their hands up to cover their eyes and see the bones through their hands, through their eyelids, as this pulse of radiant light ripples out, turning the night to day, and then fades to darkness. And the fallen angel of Tyr is dead.
Okay.
Let's go, team. I would celebrate, but I'm currently unconscious. Yeah.
At this point, I would say, give me your first death saving throw.
And that one.
That one. 2 down.
2 down.
Okay.
Right.
You end your turn there, and we go to Boglach. I say we stay in turn order at the moment because of the death saving throws.
In the excitement, my character sheet closed.
Boglak forgets who he is just for just a second.
Yeah. Boglak is, very confused. Sees Glut go down, and at first is like, I guess Glut's just resting after an extremely violent outburst, and then sort of sees Glut not moving at all, and will rush forward and first level healing word. Glut.
You rush forward to cast that, hoping that it's not too late. And as you press your hands down, you just see a bloody body lying in front of you as the light pulses under your hands. But in another place, somewhere far, far from where we are, a forest glade. Moonlight lancing down through thick green foliage overhead. The scent of a summer night in the air. Glut, the pain is gone. Your head feels fine. The ache and the fatigue is gone. You're standing in a moonlit clearing, looking around the forest. How do you feel right now?
I feel at home. This is exactly where I want to be.
All of the complications, all of the messiness is gone. All of the bloody concrete and stone of the cities, the strange, twisted nature of almost all of the elements of civilization you've encountered that have been imposed upon your nature are stripped away, and you are alone and at peace. And you hear a noise behind you. Kind of a snuffling.
I turn to see the noise.
You turn and you see a small creature, 2 small bear cubs, peering at you from the edge of the glade, their eyes lit by the moonlight as they peer towards you, and eyes wide, they begin to move forward, greeting, welcoming you. They've been waiting.
I scratched Humble behind the ear because I know that's where they like getting pet, and Fumble does that thing where they lie on their back and I shove my hand in their mouth and slap their face about, and we call it a hand game. But however, at this point, Glut is just like me, just tears up, just really, really emotional right now.
You realize that a part of you that has been missing for so long that you almost forgot that you were missing it. You almost accepted the way you were without it. That part of you is slotted back into place. You feel this sense of calm, and as you're in this moment, you feel a tug, just like a little ache in you. Everything is perfect, and yet you can almost feel pain, heat, some throbbing feeling in your forehead just for a moment. And glancing over your shoulder, you can see a glimmer of light through the trees, like a lantern gleaming in the darkness on the other side of the clearing. What do you want to do?
I look to my once bear cubs, and I start talking, and they do their typical head tilt when they're listening to me, and I say, there is nothing I want more than to stay here with you two right now, but it's not safe. It's not safe for the other animals in the Highlands, and until I know that other cubs like you can rest easy knowing that they're safe in this world, I don't belong here. So, with an incredibly heavy heart, I stand up and I turn away from my cubs and I walk towards the light.
You walk back towards the light, back across the moonlit glade, and as you plunge into the farther side, you leave knowing that they're waiting for you, and that when the time comes, they will be there. And a moment later, your head explodes in agony. Every muscle aches and hurts.
Fuck!
And you are alive.
Fuck! Oh my god! I feel like my head is in fucking 50 different pieces. Oh god, someone, Zell, one of those red drinks that you have that make the pain go, fucking give me all of them!
Zell is pretty beat up herself, but she is not as bad as Glut is, so she will happily pass over. How many do I have? A potion of healing. She only has one.
Oh, Glut doesn't know how they work, so she pours it on top of the fractured skull wound that she has.
gonna do something, right?
I'd say, to be honest, like, I don't know if it has to be ingested. It gets on the skin. It gets some of it gets
surely
in your
that's
mouth
the
and
most
nose.
effective thing it could do right
Absorbing
now.
it directly into the bloodstream.
Like a lotion. You regain a little bit of healing from that potion. The village around you is erupting in cheering. People are hugging each other. There's a sense of absolute euphoria. Paddy staggers out from the general store, raises one hand over his head and goes, "To the angels rest! For one night only, it's on the house!" And you see people beginning to run through the streets towards the tavern. A couple of others head off towards the northern road to collect the bodies of the dead to bring them back to the temple. Boglak, what were you going to say?
I feel like as everybody runs to the tavern, Boglak's like, "Well, we have to bury the dead. It's nobody gonna bury the dead." And like, we'll go off with the couple people that like go to collect people. And Boglak's like, "See the one in my group? Was he that guy that I heard was the worst guy in town?" Because I really feel like he was.
When they collect the body, they go, "Old Sammy Wordsbridge. One of the best. One of the best." That's the character.
Best at what? The best at annoying people, or
Best at being a thieving bastard. Let's go. Chuck him in the river. We don't need it.
They all start kicking his body.
I have a question. How is Zell feeling, like, given the choice that she made during the battle? Does she feel any lingering effects of that, or is it kind of gone by now?
So right now, you kind of stagger to your feet. You're pretty bloodied and damaged, but you take a deep breath. You're looking for something that feels different. But the only thing you notice is that when you hold your bow is cold to the touch. As the way the wood feels on a winter's day when you're out in the forest for a long time. And there's no indication of anything else that's changed about you that you can perceive at this point.
Okay.
But you are very, very cognizant of the fact that while you were up on that roof, something happened, and you remember the pale blue hand reaching round from behind you to lay its fingers on the wood that nobody else saw, but that image is burned in your mind. At this moment, Boglak, as you help the villagers begin to bury their dead, you see a young, very pale, very nervous-looking man who you've not seen before, standing, sort of coming up the eastern street. He's wearing sort of light travelling clothes, kind of light leathers, and clutching a small leather satchel. He looks around and goes, Boglak? Has anyone seen a bog? Furbog, is it? Yeah. And then kind of looks up and goes, excuse me, are you Boglak?
like Boglak's like halfway holding a corpse to like throw in the ditch, and it's like, has Tam come with me, or is Tam off at the tavern?
Tam is left at this point. You don't see Tam anywhere around.
Boglak just shakes their head, like at least Tam could have helped out. But yeah, I'm Boglak. How can I help? We've had quite a night, so if you're looking for a place to stay, then it might be a good night actually, because there'll be a big celebration.
No.
Some dead.
Valak Post Services. I must deliver this missive, and then I must be on my way. Been forwarded a couple of times, and hands you a letter.
What's a missive? Is that like
Just a message of some kind. You can see that
oh,
on the envelope, there's multiple addresses that have been scored out and then scored over, and it says it's addressed to the Harlowick postmaster, but then that's been scored out and it says forwarded to the Valak postmaster. That's been forwarded on to Lochilvin, then back to Valak, and next to Valak for the second time in brackets it says again ? And then forwarded to the Kinrannoch postmaster, care of Boglak.
alright, I'm sorry for my fear, it's just I thought a missive was like some sort of, like ending of marriage sort of thing.
Hey,
That's very
got a bit
specific.
nervous there. Well, I mean, I don't know, unless one of my friends sent me a message of congratulations, but how would they know anything? You see Boglak just starting to waffle and kind of will snatch the letter and like put it in their pocket.
The courier nods and goes, "My work here is done. and just turns around and sprints at like a full dash pace out of town, back towards the east.
I think Boglak, to distract themselves, will keep watching. Like in that way where you kind of space out, we'll keep watching and be like, are they going to dash the entire way down this road? Or do they just dash the first bit? Like, because it's impressive if they go far into the distance. It's weird if they don't.
He keeps going. He does full like Tom Cruise style running all the way out of sight and just into the darkness beyond.
It's like impressed.
Your first encounter
sort of-
with the Highland Courier Services really leaves an impression.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, thank goodness we ended the Angel now because they could have come into the thick of it at just the wrong time.
Could you imagine? Actually, he arrived a few hours ago and he's just been outside.
Waiting on the edge.
Saw the zombies and
There's, like,
thought, I'll let them
explosions.
deal with whatever this is first, and then I'll do my job.
'Cause I would have been here 10 minutes
I don't get
earlier
paid
if the
enough.
bridge hadn't gone on fire.
Who blew up the bridge?
I think
Um,
at this point, Zell just wants to like rest for the night and then kind of.
Before
Doesn't even wanna
Zell
do
does
it.
that, though, Glitch is gonna tap their shoulder and like hold the sword and be like, "So, you want this toothpick? It's a bit small for my tastes. You want to hang on to this?"
Zell's gonna take the sword for now.
All right, Glitch's then gonna run over and like dive roll into where their sword is and pick up in one fell swoop and be like, "Oh, I missed you! I missed my baby!" and just like kiss the hilt and stuff like that. And then just go for some practice swings. Does the angel still have a body, or did it disintegrate?
The body has just turned to pale ash.
Pale ash. Okay.
Just like
Is-
swing at the ash.
Yeah. And is there anything? Is there anything nearby that's like still like intact, like some wooden posting or like some?
I mean, there's still like various wooden barrows lying around. There's also the crumbling stone statue of Rannoch in the center of the town.
Oh, Glut goes ham on that statue.
It was already fractured from losing the sword.
For the second time, Glut is gonna start swinging their sword at that statue, just to get back into the familiar way of using the compelling argument. I believe, yeah, that's what I called her. Just because using such a small sword comparatively just felt so weird to Glut.
A few strong swings, you hear a cracking sound, and the statue tips backwards and crashes onto the paved sort of dirt around it, splintering out in all directions in a cloud of dust and debris. Most of the villagers at this point have recused themselves to the Angel's Rest Tavern. At that moment, Tam Tamson has walked back into the square and goes, "That's our heritage!"
Yeah, but Boglak basically saved this village. I believe we called him something during the feast night, and I for the life of me can't remember what it was.
Oh, that's what everyone's been chanting. It's the shaft.
It's the shaft. Yeah, I think we need to get a statue for the shaft of this valley.
The shaft of Kinrannoch, eh?
The shaft of Kinrannoch. He should.
Somehow
Yeah,
I
because-
don't think Tam Tamson's going to be leading this cause.
Yeah, because we were the arrow, I was the tip, Zell was the fletching, and Boglak was the shaft. The most important part of the arrow.
I'd like a word with the shaft.
I think everyone wants a bit of the shaft tonight.
Shafty!
I feel like, were we burying the dead up by the temple?
At this point, the dead are not yet buried. They've just been brought into the temple and laid down blankets over them to sort of recoup the losses, kind of bring everyone together, count the dead, work out who's down, and then probably tomorrow that should be the moment of burial.
I feel like Boglak will say to the others that were helping then to like head to the tavern, and he'll like do all the necessary like, I don't know, make sure that everybody's covered and like put in a place to rest, and is just sort of sat on the steps outside the temple like holding this letter as Tam finds them.
You sit by the temple door, the light of the temple spilling out around you into the darkened night. The flames around the town have burned low and the darkness is pressing in many hours still before the dawn. as Tam Tamson stomps up and goes, "Alright.
Yeah?
Listen, I'm going to be straight with you right now. I think you're an arsehole. I think your pals are arseholes as well. And I'll tell you this. A couple of days ago, this town, after 1,000 years of absolutely nothing happening, was doing very well when 3 strangers walked into town. They started asking questions. They started asking about Erlandfall Cave. And a few days later, the dead rise and attack the town. An angel flies down and seems intent on our destruction. And these strangers, they become heroes. They save the town. And they start talking about putting up statues to themselves. I can smell it when it stinks, and it stinks to high heaven here, but I'll tell you something else. None of that matters. I am a storyteller. And the first principle of storytelling is, it doesn't really matter what actually happened. It matters what people remember. And what people will remember is that in our hour of need, when the graves emptied out and the dead went marching against Kinrannoch, 3 strangers came down to us from lands far away, took up the legendary sword of Rannoch, and saved us. And that is the story that I will tell to the end of my days.
I would feel I hadn't stuck to my word if I didn't say that maybe your first telling of the story where we're arseholes is more true to it. But if you want to continue to fabricate how things went down, and sure, but the fact is that if we hadn't passed through here, this village would be completely safe. I'm sure the angel would have been released at some point because there's many people like us who poke and prod, but yeah. You see Boglak's just like a bit deflated.
Well, I appreciate your candour, and as I say, I think your reputation will go before you. Folk like to talk, and you've spun a very fine yarn here over the recent days. He turns and begins to walk away and then pauses and looks back and goes, "The first day you came into town, I told you a story about an old man losing a pan. Everyone thought the pan had gone into his casket when he went into the ground, then it turned out it was just soaking in the sink. And then you said that was a bad twist. It's not a bad twist. The whole story sets up the idea that the pan is in the casket, and at the end it's a kind of like a big ta-da at the end that it's... I don't think you understand stories." And he turns and stomps off into the night.
No, Tam. Oh, do you know what? I can't even be bothered dealing with you at the moment. If they're building a statue of Glut, then so be it. I mean, Glut did kill that angel, so they do call Glut the shaft of every.
I'm trying to
adventure.
rewrite things here.
So, Tam, if you want to spread that story, that Glut is often referred to as the shaft, then go for it.
You look into the darkness and you're like, is he still here? Is he gone? And then from the darkness beyond the light of the temple door, you just hear, "You're all shafts to me." At this point, I want to go just to each of you and find out how you spend this evening of reprieve. You've survived the night. You've survived an encounter with the forces of the undead, with a vengeful fallen angel. You made choices that will echo out before you as your reputation spreads, and you've made choices that will shape your own journeys going forward. So, I think starting with Glut, I want to know how you pass your night here.
As we turn to Glut, you see them with a glass of wine holding it above their head, watching the wine drain into their head and being like, "Everyone, look at this!" And like Constable is just like staring again, just in awe of everything Glut does for the entire evening. Glut spends the night on Revelry. Glut knows there's a lot they need to think about, especially with what they saw after they had their near-death experience. But Glut is also really good at not dealing emotionally with what it is she has to deal with. So we'll just spend the night distracting herself with like the celebrations of a fight well won.
As you celebrate in the doorless tavern, the Angel's Rest, as the villagers press around you, raising glasses, pushing tankards of wine, both the second cheapest and the most expensive, into your hands. And Constable is enraptured by everything you're doing, but you've noticed also that Constable is taken to carrying a scroll and a quill, and seems to be taking lots of notes. Whenever you say something, Constable is noting it down, and although it might not occur to Glut, the start of a holy text is being founded here as Constable begins to note the miraculous process of pouring pouring wine into your head wounds. Is there anything else you want to do with them tonight, or do you want to pass the evening in your revelry?
Glut, I feel like it's like a final moment before we cut away from Glut. They're drinking, they're having merriment, and then Glut all of a sudden kind of like has like a moment of like starts patting their body and goes, "Where's Plaguestifer?" and runs off into the night. And that's where we leave Glut.
You plunge off into the darkness, and at that moment, I want to jump over to Zell, having kind of recovered from the immediate physical trauma of the battle. How do you spend your evening?
Zell does not join in the revelry. There's been something on Zell's mind, and she's not interacted with Tam Tamsin, but she goes to the general store and she takes a spare piece of parchment and she sits and meticulously draws a new map of the area, making little annotations for where the angels slept, where the bandits were, everything that happened, where the sword was. And after many hours of doing that, she staggers back over to the Angel's Rest to present it to Paddy as a new family heirloom.
As you return to the Angel's Rest, you see Glut just dart like an arrow out of the door and off into the night. You step...
Plaguestifer, my boy! Where are you?
Oh, not again. You step...
I feel like Zell's like, no, I'm not dealing with that.
You step into the warmth of the tavern. Paddy runs towards you and goes, "Captain, my captain, a pleasure to have you at a drinking establishment tonight." He's very drunk. He goes, "You know what? I used to be quite, tight. I used to be quite worried about being particular about this and that. I realize you have to just loosen up and let life take you where the current takes you, eh?"
I'm so happy that we've all survived and lived to tell this tale. This is a gift to you and your family for all the future generations. And on the back is written a message just with love, General Zell, Glut, and Boglach, in brackets, the Shaft.
Paddy takes it for a moment. His face goes very solemn, and then his eyes just fill with tears, and he begins bawling his eyes out in front of you. He runs forward, he's about half your height, throws his arms around your waist and just hugs you very tightly and goes, "Thank you, Zell, for everything you and your friends have done for us. And for this means more than I can say. I will pass this down to my children, to my children's children, and they will remember your names."
And then she's gonna say, "I have something else for you."
Oh?
And she's going to take the long sword out and get on her knees and present it and say, "I don't think this should leave the village. I think you should put it somewhere safe in case you need it again."
The legendary sword of Rannoch. I don't quite understand what happened tonight. There were undead. There was an angel who I assume was an undead angel who'd come back to life because its eyes looked the same as all the zombies. I don't really know what was going on with that, but my understanding is that because of our love for Tyr, the forces of darkness rose against us to try and prevent us from worshipping Tyr, and with this sword you defended us from that. I'm going to change the name of the tavern. I'm going to change it to a new name. You know what? I'm going to do it right now. And he goes over to the carpenter you saw fixing the door earlier on and goes, Jacob, we've got to change the sign now. And Jacob's like, what? I'm several heights deep because now we must get your hammer and your nails. And they go outside and he goes, Jacob, I need you to build a new sign right now. Get it up. The sword and shaft. Get it up above the door. By this time the sun comes up and I'll double your pay. And by the time the sun rises on Kinrannoch, the tavern has a new name. The sword will hang above the tavern, above the bar. To many who pass through, it will look like an old antique sword, and most people will assume that it's not really the legendary sword. When people tell the story, this is the sword that killed an undead angel, people will go, yeah, sure, that's just some sword you found and put up there. But Paddy will know, Paddy will remember, and it is immortalized in the name.
And then Zell will sit down and have a drink.
You sit down,
She's
Paddy
like
sits down next to you, the drinks start flowing, and you know that somewhere out there Glute is searching for Plaguestifer. Well, Plaguestifer is probably in Glute's bag.
Glute opens their bag and sticks their head in, and they pull their head out with like a bear trap stuck to their head, and it's like, not in here, and runs off. But as you know, you hear a little squeak coming from the bottom of the bag, and Plaguestifer is just munching some blood-soaked bread. And you just hear Glute go, my boy!
There's a little hole in the bottom of Glute's bag that's like just a hole in the lining, and Plaguestifer like goes into the lining of the bag so that when Glute shoves her hand in, she can't find it.
There's a wee hidden stash of cheese in that pocket lining in the bag that Plaguestifer wants to keep to himself and does feel a little bit bad about having, but not bad enough to own up to it.
Exactly. So he's just in there like nibbling away.
And finally, we return to the temple where the light is spilling out into the graveyard outside, and we return to Boglach. How do you spend your night?
Quickly, Boglach, have you seen Plaguestifer anywhere?
Have you checked your bag?
Okay, I go back in. Exact same thing happens. Hold my head out. A second bear trap has lodged itself to the side of my head. No, not in my bag.
One on both sides.
No, I can't really remember the last time you had them, but you had them up at the bandit camp, yeah?
Oh, I had them in the village. I remember waking up with them when we got back, and we were sleeping on the road together.
Well, where's the last place you slept?
Then to the town, Boglach, thank you, and I bolt off in the other direction.
Clanking away with the bear traps into the darkness.
I think like Boglach chuckles at that, and then like repeatedly brings the letter in and out of their pocket. And kind of mulls over what to do. And then I think he tries to look for some large metaphor about how this night or his journey so far has like inspired him to like take quite a big step for himself. But I think honestly he just sort of realizes that he's just quite fed up. Kind of, maybe the metaphor is like seeing that the angel was quite isolated and had like a longing, and how that drove it to such a dark place, kind of on a smaller scale, kind of triggers Boglach, and I think Boglach will open the letter.
You open up the letter. This letter was sent weeks ago. You know that if it got to Harlwick first and was passed on to these various people, you know that this is not a recent message, but it has finally found you. You open it, you recognize immediately the hand in which it is written. It's the handwriting of your wife.
Mm-hmm.
And your eyes cast across it, and sitting there in the half circle of light spilling out the temple, you read this message. My dearest Boggy, I hope this letter finds you well, if it finds you at all. I have no doubt that your journey is wearisome, your path fraught with danger, and your challenges many. I know that if you could be with me, you would, or at least I hope that is the case. Long have I waited for your return, for there is much we need to discuss. I dare not say too much in writing for fear that this missive is waylaid, but know this. Dark trees can grow from a single, well-planted nut, and some deaths are not as peaceful as they first appear. Your clan needs you, Boggy. Come home. With all my love, Liana.
She finally came around to my way of thinking. The nut was placed, and sort of like triumphantly stands up. There is much to do. There is much to do, and it's like just very pleased about them finally seeing eye to eye on. I don't know. I imagine maybe the main cause of like a lot of their arguments. It's like, okay, she's onto it. I trust her to have gathered something, but we must get to the clan. This is bigger than this sword now. And sort of like goes off towards the village. He's very all over the place.
You set off into the night, walking away from the temple, letter clutched in your hand, realizing that you and your wife may finally agree on something.
I think the last thing I would do is, if I could, I would pass Tam Tamson and like shake the letter at him and go, some stories need more involvement. They need you to get your hands dirty and not just look from the sidelines and make stuff up. And you'll be hearing a story. Oh, you'll be hearing a story, and you're not gonna believe it. You might even say, Tam, you're not gonna believe it, and then like laughs manically and walks into the tavern.
Tam was midway through trying to board up his broken window as you said that, and he just stands there staring after you, jaw slack, staring in confusion and disgust as you storm into the tavern. The first light of dawn begins to touch the sky far to the east, and with that, for now, we will leave the Heroes of the Highlands victorious, alive, and with many more adventures ahead of them. Thank you all for watching and listening. Thank you for playing, guys. Much appreciated. And this is definitely not the last we've seen of the Heroes of the Highlands. Thank you to Nerdies Maximus for the fantastic music throughout the whole show. Thank you to Jessica Bowen for the fantastic artwork. You can find links to their stuff below this podcast or video, depending on what format you're getting this in. And with that, we'll leave you to it. See you next time.